Have you ever wondered why Jesus let 2,000 pigs drown and how one man can host 6,000 demons? It's one of the most disturbing moments in the Bible. A demon-possessed man living in tombs. 6,000 demons inside one body. And then, without warning, an entire herd of pigs rushes off a cliff into the sea. One simple question that has haunted Christians for 2,000 years. Why? Why would Jesus, the healer, the savior, permit such destruction? Why did the demons beg for pigs instead of just vanishing? And here's the part that will shock you. Why did the whole town, after witnessing this miracle, beg Jesus to leave? Most people read this story and walk away confused. Some even use it to question God's character. But hidden in this violent, chaotic moment are three truths that will reshape everything you thought you knew. A truth about what God values most. A truth about spiritual warfare, and a truth about your freedom. This is Bible Origins, where we don't avoid the difficult passages. We dive into them. If you want biblical teaching that goes beyond the basics, subscribe right now and hit that like button. Because I'm about to show you 3 layers of meaning in this story that will transform how you understand spiritual deliverance. And I promise you, once you see what's really happening here, you'll never read this passage the same way again. Let's begin. Turn to Mark chapter 5, because what you're about to discover will change everything. Our story begins not with the demons, but with a decision. Jesus and his disciples had just endured a violent storm on the Sea of Galilee. A storm so fierce that seasoned fishermen thought they would die. But Jesus stood up, rebuked the wind, and commanded the sea, "Peace, be still." Mark chapter 4. Verse 39 tells us that the wind ceased and there was a great calm. But here's what you need to understand. This wasn't just a boat ride. This was a divine mission. Jesus deliberately crossed that sea, braved that storm, and sailed straight into Gentile territory. The region of the Gerasenes, foreign soil, ritually unclean land for any observant Jew. Why would the Son of God risk everything to reach enemy territory? Because on the other side, there was a man in desperate need, a man no one else could help, a man living among the dead. The moment Jesus steps ashore, he is met by a horrifying figure. Mark chapter 5, verses 2 and 3. And when Jesus had stepped out of the boat, immediately there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. He lived among the tombs, and no one could bind him anymore, not even with a chain. Picture this scene. Wild eyes, matted hair, naked body covered in scars, blood and filth. Chains dangling from his wrists, broken remnants of failed attempts to restrain him. Mark 5 verse 4. For he had often been bound with shackles and chains, but he wrenched the chains apart and he broke the shackles in pieces. No one had the strength to subdue him, superhuman strength, uncontrollable violence. He was so feared that people avoided the entire region. This man had become a legend of horror in his own community. Verse 5 tells us the worst part. Night and day among the tombs and on the mountains, he was always crying out and cutting himself with stones. Every night, his screams echoed off the rocks. Every day he wandered alone, bleeding, weeping, self-destructing. He had lost everything. His home, his family, his name, his mind. The tombs weren't just where he lived. They represented what he believed about himself. Dead, cursed, forgotten. But then Jesus came, not by accident. He crossed a storm-tossed sea on purpose to find the one man no one else would reach. And when that man saw Jesus from a distance, something remarkable happened. Mark 5 verses 6 and 7. And when he saw Jesus from afar, he ran and fell down before him. And crying out with a loud voice, he said, "What have you to do with me, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I adjure you by God, do not torment me." He worshipped, yet he screamed. He fell at Jesus' feet, yet he begged to be left alone. This is what happens when light invades darkness. The region of the Gerasenes, also called the Decapolis, was a confederation of 10 Greek cities. Gentile strongholds built on Roman influence and pagan practices. And this region was known for something specific, pig farming. If you know anything about the Torah, you know that pigs were strictly forbidden. Leviticus 11 verse 7. And the pig, because it parts the hoof but does not chew the cud, is unclean to you. This wasn't just dietary preference. This was covenant law, a sign of separation. Yet here in Decapolis, there was a thriving pig industry. Thousands of pigs, an entire economy built on what God had called unclean. When Jesus crossed that sea, he didn't just cross water. He crossed a theological line. He stepped into a place where God's law was being openly violated for profit. Now, before we go further, let me address something that confuses many readers. Matthew chapter 8, verse 28 says, there were 2 demon-possessed men, not one. Mark and Luke focus on one. Why the difference? This isn't a contradiction. It's an emphasis. Matthew, writing to a Jewish audience, mentions both men, which may reflect the legal principle in Deuteronomy 19:15 that established truth at the mouth of 2 witnesses. Mark and Luke, writing to Gentile audiences, focus on the spokesman, the one whose transformation is narrated in detail. Different gospel writers, different audiences, different emphasis. Same event, same power, same Jesus. Keep this context in mind. Jesus has entered a region that profits from breaking God's law, where pigs are the economic foundation. And he's about to expose an entire system built on disobedience. Mark 5, verse 8. For he was saying to him, come out of the man, you unclean spirit. Jesus doesn't raise his voice. He simply commands with authority, but the spirits resist. So Jesus asks the question, verse 9, and Jesus asked him, what is your name? He replied, my name is Legion, for we are many. Why did Jesus ask? He's omniscient. He already knew. But this question wasn't for Jesus. It was for the witnesses, for us. Because what's about to be revealed is the staggering magnitude of this man's torment. Legion, it's Latin, Roman military terminology. A legion consisted of 4,000 to 6,000 soldiers, organized, strategic, brutal. This man wasn't dealing with one demon. He was occupied by an entire army of darkness. Thousands of spirits warring for control inside one fragile soul. No wonder he screamed day and night. No wonder chains couldn't hold him. This wasn't oppression. This was an invasion. And yet, despite their number, despite their collective strength, all of them together trembled before Jesus. The demons may have been many, but Jesus is matchless. Even their spokesman recognized him, Son of the Most High God, not a teacher, not a prophet, Son of the Most High God. Even demons have correct theology. James 2:19 says, even the demons believe and shudder. Then comes the plea. Verse 10, and he begged him earnestly not to send them out of the country. Out of the country. Not just out of the man. They didn't want to leave the region. Why? Verses 11 and 12. Now a great herd of pigs was feeding there on the hillside, and they begged him, saying, send us to the pigs. Let us enter them. They begged. Earnestly, desperately, these spirits who had terrorized a man and ruled a region were now whimpering like prisoners before a judge. Why pigs? Because demons prefer embodiment. Even in animals, even in unclean swine. Why? Because the alternative is worse. Luke 8 verse 31 clarifies, and they begged him not to command them to depart into the abyss. The abyss. A place of imprisonment for fallen angels, awaiting final judgment. The demons knew Jesus had the authority to send them there immediately, before their time, and they were terrified, so they begged for pigs. Better to occupy unclean animals than face the torment of the abyss. Here's where it gets profound. Verse 13, so he gave them permission. Why? Why would Jesus allow 2,000 pigs to be destroyed? 3 reasons. First, deliverance must be visible. For too long, this man's torment was invisible. People saw the symptoms, but couldn't see the source. When those pigs rushed down the steep bank and drowned in the sea, everyone saw the magnitude of what this man had been enduring. Evil became undeniable. Second, this was judgment on an economy built on disobedience. Those pigs represented a thriving industry in violation of God's law. When Jesus permitted their destruction, he was declaring that no economic system, no matter how profitable, is worth more than obedience to God. Third, Jesus was proving a point. One human soul is worth more than 2,000 pigs, more than an entire economy, more than comfort, more than profit. The swineherds fled and told everyone. The whole town came out. And what did they find? Mark 5, verse 15. They came to Jesus and saw the demon-possessed man, the one who had the legion, sitting there clothed and in his right mind. And they were afraid, clothed in his right mind, sitting peacefully with Jesus. This was the same man who had terrorized them for years. Now he was whole. You'd think they'd celebrate. You'd think they'd fall at Jesus' feet. But verse 17 tells us something tragic. And they began to beg Jesus to depart from their region. They chose pigs over people, profit over presence, familiarity over freedom. They saw the power of God and sent him away because they feared what else he might change. And friends, many still do the same today. The man who had been delivered begged Jesus to let him come along. But Jesus said no. Mark 5, verse 19. Go home to your friends and tell them how much the Lord has done for you and how he has had mercy on you. This is the only time in the Gospels that Jesus refused someone who wanted to follow him. Why? Because this man had a unique mission. Jesus was leaving Gentile territory, but the gospel needed to stay. So Jesus commissioned him. Tell them what I did for you. And that's exactly what he did. Verse 20, and he went away and began to proclaim in the Decapolis how much Jesus had done for him. And everyone marveled. This man went through the 10 cities of Decapolis, a largely Gentile region, publicly proclaiming his transformation. And people marveled, not at his theology, not at his training, at what Jesus had done. He didn't have a seminary degree. He just knew one thing. I was in chains, and now I'm free. I was tormented, and now I have peace. And that was enough. Let me give you 5 takeaways you need to remember. Number 1, demons are real. They're not myths or metaphors. They are real spiritual beings with real agendas and real fear of Jesus. Ephesians 6:12 says we wrestle against spiritual forces of evil. We are in a spiritual war. But the demons in this story didn't laugh. They begged, because when Jesus stands before them, they have no choice but to submit. Number 2, Jesus crosses storms to rescue you. Jesus deliberately crossed a dangerous sea for one tormented man. No crowd greeted him. No one invited him. But he came anyway, because he leaves the 99 to rescue the one. No soul is too lost. No situation is too dark. If he crossed the sea for that man, he'll come for you too. Number 3, freedom is messy. Jesus brought deliverance to one man, but it cost the community 2,000 pigs. Freedom is beautiful, but not always clean. It may cost you friends, finances, reputation, routine. Sometimes when Jesus steps in, he overturns your entire system. Are you willing to let him remove what you've been clinging to? Number 4, don't send Jesus away. The saddest part of this story isn't the man's torment. It's the town's response. They saw power, witnessed mercy, and begged Jesus to leave. Why? Because they feared what else he might change. They preferred pigs over people, profit over presence. Many still do the same, but the cost of keeping your demons is always higher than the cost of losing your pigs. Number 5, your testimony matters. The man Jesus delivered didn't go to seminary. He wasn't trained in apologetics, but he had a story, and Jesus said, go tell them. That was enough. You may think you're not qualified, but what qualifies you is what he did in you. Tell them what he's done. When people see who you were and who you are now, they will marvel. Let me ask you a simple question. Are there areas in your life where you've let darkness dwell? Maybe, like the man in the tombs, you've accepted the lie that this is just who you are now, but there is no demon too strong, no pit too deep, no past too dark that Jesus cannot redeem. The same Jesus who silenced a legion is here right now for you. John 8:36 says, if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed. You don't need a perfect prayer. Just call on his name. Romans 10:13 says, for everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved right now. Open your heart. Let him break your chains. You were made for freedom. If you believe Jesus has all authority over the forces of darkness, type this in the comments: Jesus has all authority. Then pray this out loud: Jesus, I believe you are the Son of God. I surrender my life to you. Set me free and use me for your glory. If you prayed for that, welcome home. If you enjoyed this video, support this new channel by doing 3 things. Like this video, subscribe to Bible Origins, and share it with your friends and family, especially someone who's fighting their own battle right now, because the demons knew exactly who stood before them: Jesus, Son of the Most High, Commander of Heaven. And he's not done. He's still crossing seas, still silencing legions, still restoring the broken. All you have to do is let him in. Shalom.